Sports welcomes you to a sold-out Raymond James Stadium. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense being introduced to a sold-out crowd. A win today and the Buccaneers would have first place to themselves in the NFC South. The Bucs host the Minnesota Vikings. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the NFL on Fox. I'm Kenny Albert, along with Tim Green. In case you're wondering how a team that has scored 11 offensive touchdowns in 8 games has a record of 6-2, all you have to do is look at the Tampa Bay defense.
Kenny, you're right. This team is about this defense, and they're in the playoff position because of their defense. It's fabulous. But you know what? It shouldn't be a surprise. Look at the guys that they have playing out there. You've got Barber. You've got Lynch. You've got Sapp, you've got Brooks, and I think one of the best things about this group is the confidence that they have. They've played together for so long. Each guy knows where the other guy is going to be, and so defensive coordinator Monty Kiffin has become a guru to these guys, and he's able to do a lot of creative things, and as a result, they have come up with a tremendous amount of turnovers. They've scored 5 touchdowns on defense alone, and that bodes ill for the Minnesota Vikings because they lead the league in turnovers, and Dante Culpepper today, I don't think it's a game where you say, hey, Culpepper needs to hit Moss deep. I think it's more of a game where Culpepper needs to protect the football, punt the ball sometimes, and also run the ball. They're going to have to run the ball. Culpepper's going to have to run it against a defense that's missing nose tackle Anthony McFarland.
And Tim, the Buccaneers have not scored an offensive touchdown in their last 2 games, but they get a lift today with the return of quarterback Brad Johnson.
And Brad Johnson, you have to love Brad Johnson. From Black Mountain, North Carolina, he's country tough. He's so tough playing out there with a broken rib, but he's missing 2 of his top receivers in Jaravicius and McCardell. So I think for the Tampa Bay Bucs today to win, you're going to have to see a lot of Mike Allstott. Allstott in his last 4 games against Minnesota here has averaged 100 yards and over 5 a carry.
All right, Tim, remember to answer today's Sprint virtual coach question. What should Emmitt Smith do at season's end? You can vote now using PCS Vision from Sprint or log on to foxsports.com. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Minnesota Vikings coming up next on Fox.
1, 2, 3. Right, tell you, party time all night.
Your reputation of the National Football League.
Over courtesy of the United States Air Force 49th Training Flying Squadron from Moody Air Force Base in Valdosta, Georgia. Handling the coin toss with referee Jeff Triplett, General Tommy R. Franks, Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Central Command. And the Vikings have won the toss. It is Military Appreciation Day here at the stadium. And General Franks is standing by with our Chip Carter. Chip?
Thank you very much. I'm standing here with General Tommy Franks. General, you grew up in West Texas, followed those Dallas Cowboys. This defense kind of remind you of those early days?
I'll tell you what, there was a time when Tom Landry had the Dallas Cowboy defense. It was absolutely something else. I think this defense that we're looking at every week right here in Tampa is also something else.
I know you've been walking around the stadium here. You've got to like the response you're getting for Military Appreciation Day.
Well, I think for a bit over a year now, we have had an incredible thing in this country where we have drawn all of our uniformed people, our firemen, our policemen, our military, much, much closer to the American people, and I think it's great.
Coach, on behalf of the entire Fox Sports organization, we just want to give you and those who serve with you a big thank you for not only your tireless efforts, but the way you're defending this country.
Thanks very much, and thanks for all the support that you give all these young people who are in harm's way doing our nation's work.
Thank you very much. General Tommy Franks, let's go back upstairs. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chip. And Tim, you would think General Franks would know a thing or two about defense.
Absolutely. He's running the #1 defense in the world. Tampa Bay boasting the #1 defense in the National Football League today.
Nick Davis back deep for the Vikings as he takes Martin Grammaticus kickoff from the 8-yard line. Penalty marker, and Davis fumbled. Buccaneers have recovered, but there is a penalty flag back at the 19-yard line. So the Vikings, who lead the league in turnovers, cannot hold on to the opening kickoff. As Davis, the rookie out of Wisconsin, fumbled as he was taken down.
And this has been the undoing of the Minnesota Vikings all season, Kenny. They lead the league in turnovers. It has absolutely killed them.
Here in the return, holding, 31 return team. The penalty is declined. First and 10 to Tampa Bay.
Davis gets sandwiched by Todd Yoder and also Jack Golden.
First and 10, Tampa Bay at the 41.
Stecker's on his legs, and there's Yoder and Golden. Ball comes right out of there. Unbelievable for Minnesota fans.
Mike Allstott takes the handoff from Brad Johnson on first down and rumbles down to the 17-yard line, a gain of 3. Kenny Mixon made the tackle.
And there you see Minnesota, 22 turnovers this season, most in the NFL. That includes the fumble we just had. And you see Mike Tice scratching his head. It's got to be sickening for him because they came into this game, Kenny, thinking, let's play field position. You know, let's play conservative offense. Let's run the ball. It's not a bad thing to punt. Let's make sure this Tampa Bay offense, which has struggled tremendously, let's make sure they don't get a short field. First play of the game, short field.
2 tight ends on 2nd and 6. Allstott, the lone back. Johnson with time, dumps it off to Allstott, and he works his way down to the 10-yard line, picks up a first down. Buccaneers ranked 24th offensively. Johnson, terrific career record, spent his first 7 seasons as a Minnesota Viking.
Well, Brad Johnson really knows how to win. And he said to us yesterday, remember, hey, I've been in shootouts in as a quarterback in Minnesota and Washington, shootouts where we've scored 30, 40 points and lost. All I care about is winning, even if it's ugly, right? And their win last week against Carolina was ugly.
Penalty marker as Allstott down the sidelines into the end zone, but a penalty flag. So Allstott, Tim, has been the man on the first 3 plays from scrimmage. But this one's coming back.
Oh, we talked about it moments ago, and Allstott has had huge games against Minnesota the last 4 times they've played here.
19 to the offense, moving forward at the snap. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
In fact, Vikings coach Mike Tice told us yesterday, I have these visions of Allstott knocking us over like bowling pins every time we face the Buccaneers.
And, you know, when we asked Gruden about it, I said, hey, do you look at the history? And he said, yeah, if a guy, look at that, 28 rushes, 129 yards, 3 TDs the last time. No, that was in 98. Allstott's best day scoring-wise.
Johnson to the end zone. Touchdown, Carl Williams. On the receiving end, his first touchdown of the season, starting for the injured Keenan McCardell.
Did I mention that Minnesota has the 31st ranked pass defense in the league? What a beautiful throw, though, by Brad Johnson.
So the Bucs offense finally scores a touchdown. Their first in the last 9 quarters. It's the first touchdown in the air for the Buccaneers in 14 quarters. As Brad Johnson hits Carl Williams, 15-yard touchdown reception. Bucs capitalize on the turnover.
NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 37.
Back in Tampa, an early 7-0 lead for the Buccaneers, and Nick Davis, who fumbled the opening kickoff, will not get a chance this time. Mike Tice sends out Mo Williams along with Cedric James. It's Williams, 2 yards deep, And the Vikings will start from their own 20.
Take a look at you talk about John Gruden and the innovativeness of his offense. What's going to happen here is Dudley's going to drive deep. And so that's going to enable Williams to push the cornerback out and come back to the inside. See, now he breaks in, but because Dudley has kind of occupied the strong safety, that window opens and Johnson delivers a perfect pass. But Kenny, that was a really well-designed play.
So now Dante Culpepper and the Vikings go to work from their own 20-yard line. Michael Bennett out to the 23, a gain of 3. Shelton Quarles made the tackle. Well, Dante Culpepper grew up only about an hour from Tampa in Ocala, Florida. Headed Central Florida. And he's third in the NFC in passing yards.
He's struggled this season. He's pressed. He's been out of rhythm. And when he gets in those situations, he's turned the ball over. But he certainly has big play capability. And of course, he's got Randy Moss, big play receiver downfield, so they can strike deep at any time in any game.
3 wide receivers on 2nd and 6. And the pass caught for a first down by the fullback, Jim Kleinsaucer, out of bounds at the 34 after a gain of 10. Everett Lindsey starting at left tackle today for the injured Lewis Kelly. Matt Burke, the center, has been elected to the Pro Bowl each of the last 2 seasons. Moss and Alexander are the wideouts. Bennett, Kleinsaucer in the backfield. And the tight end is Pro Bowler Byron Chamberlain. Chamberlain shifting. 1st and 10 from the 34. Long count by Culpepper. This is Bennett. Out across the 35 for a gain of 2. Greg Spires the tackle. 2nd and 8 coming up. Buccaneers, best defense in the NFL. They allow only 10.5 points per game. Shartrick Darby starting for the injured Anthony McFarland. Derek Brooks has scored 4 touchdowns this season. Barber and Kelly the corners. Jackson and Lynch are the safeties.
And the thing they like about Shartrick Darby is his toughness. He's got some quickness, but he's a little undersized. He's only 6 foot and only 270.
Making his first NFL start for the injured McFarland. The clock winding down.
They're going to check to a pass.
Culpepper had the pass deflected. He was looking for Derek Alexander on the far side to a 3rd and long, 3rd and 8. And the Vikings did not want to be in this situation.
Well, Culpepper saw the safety, John Lynch, come up to build an 8-man front, and so he checked it to a pass, but the pass play looked, ugly. You talk about this Tampa Bay defense. You just see the numbers. They allow 1 touchdown every 17 possessions.
They've allowed only 6 all season. 4 wide receivers. Quarterback draw as Culpepper takes off and is close to the marker.
I think he may have. I don't know. It's going to depend on the spot. That doesn't surprise me to see Culpepper run on 3rd and 8 because, again, coming into this game, the Vikings' plan was they wanted to play a field position, time of possession game where they hung on to the ball, they moved it downfield. Not a bad thing for them to punt. I mean, Culpepper told us yesterday. He said it's not a bad thing if I punt. And when we told Tice that, he goes, "Oh, so he's listening, right?"
Mike Tice hammered that point home throughout the week.
Well, because and he made it. Now he's got another first down, and they did it running the ball, and it was Culpepper running. I like that decision. I really do.
Culpepper 3rd in the league among quarterbacks in rushing this season. Only Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb have rushed for more yards from the quarterback position.
And certainly, if your quarterback has to run, it should be a quarterback like this with his body is just tremendous. I mean, 270 pounds. He can take a lot more hits than a Michael Vick or even a Donovan McNabb.
From the 44, the quick slant is caught by Moss, but a good job by Shelton Quarles holding Moss to just 3 yards.
I think any play that tries to exploit the Tampa Bay linebackers is not really a good play. Here's Moss right here. He goes in motion. So they're trying to get him singled up. But the reason why I don't think it's a good play is because Quarles and Brooks and Singleton all have outstanding speed. So they're tough to take advantage of the way you can take advantage of other linebackers.
Bennett up the middle on 2nd and 8. Met by the combination of Brooks and Lynch. Short gain on the play.
And what this is just it's a quick run, just a dive play, and they're going right at Chartrick Darby. And here's Darby right there, and you see they put the double team on him, they get some movement on him, and they get some push. So now they're in this 3rd and 5 situation again, and again, this isn't a situation where you should be surprised if the Vikings do something with Dante. Run a bootleg pass or run the ball.
Chris Walsh in motion. 3 wide receivers. And they keep it on the ground with Mo Williams. And Williams has a first down to the Buccaneers 41.
And there it is. It's the run. Now normally 3rd and 4 you think pass, but today with the Vikings you have to think run on 3rd down. Because again, it comes back to the turnovers, and they realize that the turnovers is what's killed the Vikings, and turnovers is what has fed this Tampa Bay team.
And a Vikings turnover on the opening kickoff today led to the Buccaneers touchdown. Vikings moving the chains. This is Bennett on 1st and 10 from the 41. And Sheldon Quarles comes up to make the tackle. Gain of just 1 for Bennett.
So Kenny, if the Vikings are going to continue to pound away and hammer away with the run game, the adjustment for Tampa Bay is going to be to take their safety. Watch right here. Watch the safety's going to come up, and that's an 8-man front, right? But what that means later on is Randy Moss is going to find himself single covered.
And the Vikings have done a good job running the football team, ranked 7th in the NFL in rushing. 10th play of the drive, 2nd down and 9. Culpepper can't find anyone, and then throws it away.
Kenny, we talked about this Tampa Bay defense and how long they've been together. And when you have been so long together, it enables you to do different things. It enables you to take a cornerback and send him on a blitz. So you take a guy who's normally a cover guy, and there's Barber coming right there, and you send him up on a blitz. And that's really what makes this play happen. That's what flushes Culpepper out of the pocket. So that's a really unconventional thing to do, to take a guy who's normally a cover guy, bring him into the middle and blitz him. But these guys have played so long together and so well, you can have a lot of creativity.
Now Culpepper with time on 3rd and 9, looking for Moss in the end zone, who makes the catch for the touchdown. Randy Moss pulled it in. Dexter Jackson on the coverage. And for Randy Moss, this one may be called back, a late penalty flag.
Holding 63 offense. 10-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
I'm sure there's no one in Minnesota that's surprised to have a holding penalty, right, Kenny? I mean, if it hasn't been turnovers, it's been penalties, key penalties for this offense that's killed them. But what a tremendous effort by Randy Moss, and he really got to highlight his skills and talents on that play there. I mean, those are the kinds of plays that make him such an incredible threat in the National Football League.
Corbin Lucina, the left guard, is called for holding. And now with the play clock winding down, the Vikings forced to call timeout. Midway through the first quarter here in Tampa, Buccaneers with the early lead.
Sunday is brought to you by Energizer. Do you have the money inside? By Kia and the all-new Sorento SUV. Kia, make every mile count. By Open, the small business network from American Express. New tools for a small business economy. And by Autotrader.com. Sell your car fast on the ultimate automotive classified site.
Third down and 19 from midfield for the Vikings following the penalty. Culpepper rolling right and is forced to throw it away.
I got to tell you, Kenny, the Minnesota Vikings got robbed on that last play. Mike Tice, you see him here, he's chewing out Corbin Lucina for the holding penalty. But I will tell you that when Mike Tice watches the film, he's not going to be unhappy with Lucina. Watch Lucina. Here's Lucina right there. Okay? That's not. I mean, if they're going to call that a hold, they got to call that every single play. They got to throw 5 flags on the line of scrimmage. That was a suspect call.
And that was the 4th holding penalty called against Lucina this season. Kyle Richardson, end over end punt, and a fair catch called for at the 14-yard line by Carl Williams, who has the game's only touchdown. Buccaneers took over on their own on the Vikings 21, scored 3 plays later. And then a Vikings touchdown pass from Culpepper for Randy Moss, called back due to a holding penalty. This is Allstott again. Nowhere to go. Fred Robbins, the first Viking, in on the tackle. Up front for the Buccaneers, Todd Washington replacing the injured Kerry Jenkins at left guard. Jeff Christie is a former Viking Pro Bowl center. Keyshawn Johnson, Carl Williams, the wide receivers. Pittman with Allstott in the backfield, and the tight end is Ken Dilger.
And this offensive line, Kenny, has struggled all season long. They've not established any continuity, and they're not playing with tremendous confidence.
Brad Johnson complete on 2nd and 10 to Keyshawn Johnson for a first down, a gain of 13 yards. The Vikings ranked 28th defensively. They did a good job last week. They sacked Bears quarterback 6 times. Crockett, Beekert, and Rogers, the linebackers. Kelly and Chavis, the corners. Bradford and Russell, the safeties.
And Brian Russell is a college quarterback who has converted to safety. Great toughness. He's very willing to get up there and stick his nose. Hasn't developed great instincts yet.
Quarterback at San Diego State. From the 27 on first down. Johnson to Keyshawn Johnson, complete. In Vikings territory to the Minnesota 47-yard line. 26-yard pass play.
Well, they do it off of a play-action pass, but I talked about the Tampa Bay offensive line and the lack of continuity. This should give them some confidence here, because look how long Brad Johnson has to stand back there and wait for this play to develop. Keyshawn Johnson runs all the way across the field. From one side to the other, he gets into the perfect soft spot of the zone, and Johnson is throwing the ball very accurately today. Don't forget, Brad Johnson playing with a broken rib.
Loves this one. Incomplete, a penalty marker. Allstott, the intended receiver. And remember, Tim, the Vikings defense has allowed the most long pass plays in the league. They've allowed the most pass plays of 20 or more yards.
Holding, 21 defense.
Well,
5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Another miscue for the Vikings. They started this game out with a horrible miscue. There's the fumble right there on the opening kickoff, and that enabled the Bucs to go to Allstott. They give him the ball on the ground, they throw him a short pass, and then this touchdown pass to Carl Williams. Only 3 plays later, the Bucs are up 7-0, taking advantage of the Vikings' miscues.
Allstott with 3 touches so far on 6 offensive plays. This is Williams. Carl Williams down to the Vikings 38. Brad Johnson is now 5 for 5.
Right, Brad Johnson is 5 for 5, and he's spreading the ball around a little bit. He's gone to Williams twice, he's gone to Johnson twice, he's gone to Allstott once. But I would be surprised at the end of this day if you don't find that Keyshawn Johnson gets 8 to 10 passes. They really want to look for Keyshawn in this passing game, because they're without Keenan McCardell, who was Johnson's go-to guy, Brad Johnson's go-to guy, and they're also without Joe Juravicius.
On 2nd and 5, Allstott looks to fight his way back to the line of scrimmage, but loses a yard as Chris Hovan wrapped him up.
One thing about this Vikings defense, and as you see Chris Hovan, and Hovan's probably the right guy to look at because they've played pretty well, Kenny, against the run. They're a good run defense. They get a lot of upfield pressure, and Hovan, they're 5th in the NFL, and Hovan is a lot of the reason for it. Very active, lots of penetration, but as we said, their weakness is in the passing game. They've given up a tremendous amount of yards on big pass plays.
Now 3rd down and 7.
Free play, so you chuck it to the end zone.
Nice catch by the tight end Dilger for a first down out of the Vikings 21. Well, they got halfway to the end zone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what you do. You throw downfield no matter what because you know that you've drawn the defense off sides.
That's the 3rd Vikings penalty, although the Bucs will decline this one. Vikings 2nd in the league in penalties. So turnovers and penalties have been a huge problem for Minnesota.
Well, and watch Brad Johnson again. He's back here. Great protection by his offensive line. Look at Kenyatta Walker there, just slamming Brummel, and then a beautiful catch. How about this? You know, Ken Dilger makes some fabulous catches, but about 1 in every 5 passes he'll drop an easy one, but then 1 in every 5 he'll make a spectacular one.
Michael Pittman, gain of 2 on the play, down to the Vikings 19. Nick Rogers, the rookie out of Georgia Tech, brought him down.
You know, Michael Pittman has not had a stellar season. You see he's averaging 3.5 a carry. But I think it would be unfair, though, to expect more from Michael Pittman without an offensive line that has great cohesion and that doesn't make a lot of mental mistakes. Because if you give him, you know, big holes, if you give him big opportunities, that's when he's going to be at his best.
Johnson on 2nd down under pressure, and he throws it away. Chuck Wiley along with Kenny Mixon were in Brad Johnson's face.
Yeah, and they're in Brad Johnson's face, and then you see Eric Kelly in Keyshawn Johnson's face. That's called press. That's press coverage right there, and that was an outstanding job by Eric Kelly. I mean, that's why Brad Johnson had the pressure and had nowhere to go. Eric Kelly's a young player. He's only in his 2nd year, but he's got some physical skills. The only thing he really lacks is the confidence.
Now 3rd down and 9. 4 wide receivers out, and the pass is caught for a first down. Down to the 7-yard line. Carl Williams with his 3rd reception in this first quarter.
Remember what Brad Johnson told us about Carl Williams. He said the key word is elusive. And you have to remember, Carl Williams, he's a punt returner. And the reason why he's been successful as a punt returner is because he is elusive. He's not particularly big. He's not particularly fast. But, boy, if you don't keep real close tabs on him, you turn around and he's open.
Alstott cutting outside. Now to the 1-yard line before he was brought down by Eric Kelly. So the A-Train, Mike Alstott, off to a good start once again against the Minnesota Vikings. He's had great success against Minnesota.
And they sent Alstott to the sideline, and the Vikings thought that if they put Alstott, force him to go wide, then their defensive backs could bring him down. Unfortunately, Keyshawn had a good block on it, unfortunately for the Vikes.
Johnson to the end zone. The intended receiver, the tight end, Ricky Dudley. So it will be 3rd and goal for the Bucs.
Well, they go to Dudley, and Kenny, I know you heard Terry Bradshaw's quip in the pregame show about, Keyshawn Johnson only scoring once a year. And he has not been the regular target in the red zone. I think part of the reason is because people pay him special attention in the red zone. They're more apt to bracket him and keep him from being a viable target.
He has not caught a pass in the red zone this season. Johnson to Dudley. Touchdown, Buccaneers. Kenny's 7th catch of the season and his 3rd touchdown.
Again, Kenny, these are really well-designed plays. Both touchdown passes had a great chalkboard element to them. Dudley came all the way across the zone, and it was really an easy pass for Brad Johnson.
Ricky Dudley played for John Gruden in Oakland. He's reached the end zone 3 times for Gruden with Tampa Bay.
And exclusively at NFL.com.
12-play, 86-yard drive. Brad Johnson 6 for 8 on the drive, 76 yards. And his 2nd touchdown pass of the quarter. After the Buccaneers had gone 2 games without an offensive touchdown, they have reached the end zone twice in the first quarter. Mo Williams in place of Nick Davis, who fumbled the opening kickoff. And Williams brings it out to the 24-yard line. John Howell made the stop. 14-0, Tampa Bay.
You need for this to...
Another well-designed play by John Gruden. Dudley goes in motion. He comes all the way across the field, across the zone. Johnson, with great protection, delivers another touchdown pass.
Now the Vikings start from their own 24-yard line. Pass broken up, nearly intercepted by Rondé Barber.
The Vikings are in a really bad position right now, Kenny, because their game plan to come in here and control the ball and keep it a low-scoring game, that's out the window. That's over. Now Dante Culpepper is going to have to come up with some big plays, and they're going to have to get the ball to Randy Moss, and he's going to have to press it downfield. And that's when they've also had interceptions, turnovers.
3 wide receivers on 2nd and 10. Bennett, and he's hit for a loss by Warren Sapp. Loss of a yard on the play.
And Warren Sapp, just watch him work. He comes up, he's got a double team. So he breaks through it, he comes off the block, makes a big... This is why this defense is so doggone good. I mean, they really win the individual battles.
3rd down and 11. Culpepper out of the shotgun. Culpepper throws on the run. Incomplete. Byron Chamberlain, the tight end, was his target. Culpepper just 1 for 6.
And Culpepper had no idea what to do. He looked downfield. He wanted to throw to his left. None of his receivers were there. He didn't know should he run the ball? Should he throw the ball? Very indecisive. But again, you're playing the #1 defense in the National Football League. There's not going to be a lot of opportunities for big plays.
Kyle Richardson punting for the 2nd time. Makes a Buccaneers bounce into Vikings territory as the first quarter comes to an end. Vikings capitalized on an early turnover, and their offense scored 2 touchdowns in the first. Back in Tampa, Buccaneers leading the Vikings after 1 quarter by the score of 14-0. Kenny Albert with Tim Green and Brad Johnson not showing any effects of the rib injury.
It's almost like the rib injury was good for him. I mean, if he keeps going the way he's going, at the end of this game, if he repeats what he did in the first quarter, he's going to have 400 yards passing, right? He'll have 8 touchdowns and, 432 completions.
Penalty marker as Johnson was looking for the tight end Ken Dilger. And the turnovers, the story, one of the big stories for the Minnesota Vikings throughout this 2002 season, and they lost the opening kickoff.
Right, turnovers, penalties. They had a touchdown call back because of a holding penalty, although we thought it was a bad call. But, hey, you got to credit Brad Johnson. He's out there with a broken rib, folks. I mean, it's hard to sleep when you have a broken rib. He's out there playing in the NFL and playing extremely well. The other people we have to give credit to, Kenny, is this Tampa Bay offensive line. I mean, Todd Washington is in there. He's replacing Kerry Jenkins. Kenyatta Walker has kind of struggled. Cozy Coleman, Jeff Christie, Roman Oben. They've not had a great season. Right now, this group right here is making Brad Johnson able to throw those touchdown passes.
And Tim, another Vikings penalty, a hold against their defense. Allstott down to the 41-yard line. Gain of 2 on the carry.
And Kenny, we talk about how well Brad Johnson is playing. On the other side of it, look at Dante Culpepper's numbers. Really struggling right now, only completing 1 for 6 and 10 yards. And as we said, he is going to have to come up. If Minnesota's going to climb back into this thing, he's going to have to come up and with some really big plays. He's going to have to get downfield to Randy Moss.
And remember, Brad Johnson told us there's always the Moss factor. You can be up by 14, and they can hit Moss for 2 bombs, and the Vikings are right back in it. And that's where the Buccaneers stand right now, up by 14. Keyshawn Johnson, his 3rd catch of the game, a first down at the Vikings 26, a gain of 15 yards.
We just talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning individual battles. Watch Keyshawn here. Winning individual battles on defense. I'll tell you, right? I mean, Keyshawn Johnson cannot be covered by Ronnie Bradford over the top and Greg Biekert underneath. So, again, winning individual battles is what the Bucs are doing right now. And Keyshawn Johnson is having a nice day. Hey, John Gruden told us yesterday, he said, hey, I'm going to go home and read his book tonight. Just give me the darn ball.
I think he read every chapter.
I think he must have done something.
Allstott. John Gruden also listened to some of his neighbors who came trick-or-treating on Halloween and told him to give the football to Allstott more than he has been.
You don't really believe that's why they're giving it to him, though. Come on. I mean, can you imagine how annoying that must be for John Gruden? He gets home on Thursday after a long day, a long week, and he gets some advice from a neighbor. Hey, you need to give Mike Allstott the ball more. Especially knowing that he already knew he was going to do that, right?
Well, the Gruden family set up a haunted house in their garage on Halloween, and that was the #1 message from some of his neighbors. Get the ball to Allstott. Here's Allstott again. Stop shy of the marker. Greg Biekert, who played for John Gruden in Oakland, led the Raiders in tackles in each of Gruden's 4 seasons there. Made the tackle.
You know, Allstott's numbers right now aren't tremendous, really. I mean, we've seen him have some pretty nice runs, but the truth is, the thing that's got the Tampa Bay with his 14-point lead is the Vikings' mistakes, and then Brad Johnson being outstanding in the passing game, and his offensive line giving him time.
And the Buccaneers are perfect on 3rd down. They are 3 for 3. Johnson looking for Keyshawn off his fingertips.
Johnson's pass intended for Keyshawn Johnson.
Well, that would have been not only a touchdown, but a red zone touchdown, both of which have been so elusive for Keyshawn Johnson, and he has an opportunity to catch this ball. He's got Ronnie Bradford. He's got him beat. And that's one of those difficult over-the-shoulder catches, but see, Brad Johnson wanted that one.
And that would have disproven Terry Bradshaw's theory. That would have been Keyshawn's 2nd touchdown of the season.
What did he say? He said they only score, him and Jimmy Kimmel only score once a year.
Well, Martin Gramatica scored 4 times last week, kicked 4 field goals. Perfect from 36 yards out, extending the Bucs' lead.
No boundaries. By Visa, it's everywhere NFL fans want to be. By IBM, e-business is the game. Play to win. And by Dockers Stain Defender. Don't be the one without it.
Well, Well, the Vikings down 17-0. They have lost their last 4 games here in Tampa, and they have allowed 41 points to the Buccaneers in each of the last 2 as Bo Williams brings it out to the 23-yard line. Jermaine Phillips had a big day on special teams, made the stop.
Baltimore, Atlanta tied at 3.
So a lot of the Florida players like Dante Culpepper could have a chance to be with their family and then focus on football all day Saturday.
Vikings had a walkthrough here at the stadium on Saturday morning. Culpepper just 1 for 6. Now 1 for 7. Randy Moss, the intended receiver. Well, coming up in the second half of our doubleheader, Terrell Owens and the 49ers take on the Raiders as Jerry Rice faces San Francisco for the first time in his career. Some of you will see the Redskins and the Seahawks, or the Rams and the Cardinals. A full day of NFL action continues next. Game 2 of our doubleheader on Fox.
And Pam Oliver did a great interview with Jerry Rice about this game, and you could just, couldn't you, listening to Jerry, he can't wait to play against his old team.
He's excited. Bennett out to the 26-yard line. Brad Johnson playing against his former team, one of his former teams today, and he's thrown 2 touchdown passes.
Yeah, when we asked him about it, though, he kind of said, you know what, it's so far removed. You know what I mean? It's more, he still I think gets more pumped up about playing against the Washington Redskins and the way he left that team. You know, that was a bitter situation for him, being replaced by Jeff George. And I think Jerry Rice, no doubt, from that interview today, he had a little bitterness at the way the 49ers let him go.
Corbin Lucina is the injured Viking. Offensive linemen in uniform today, but they get their first-round draft pick at practice on Monday. Bryant McKinney, who held out for 98 days, signed a 5-year contract on Friday, and Mike Tice is going to give McKinney a crash course.
I would be astounded if McKinney is able to add much to this Vikings offense, having missed so much, not having had a training camp, not having done the hitting. There's Lucina right there trying to block Warren Sapp. And Sapp just kind of bowls him over, and that looked like where he hurt his knee. You see him grabbing his knee.
Mike Tice said McKinney is going to be my shadow all week at practice. Corey Withrow, in his 3rd season out of Washington State, will replace Lucina.
And the Vikings, Kenny, trying to avoid another 3-and-out. They've had 2 drives today. One was a 3-and-out. This Bucs defense is known for their 3-and-outs, and in as much as anything, the Vikings need to give their defense a rest.
Bucs defense leading the league in 3-and-outs forced. Culpepper on 3rd down complete. Chris Walsh for a first down. Walsh's first catch today.
Stopped by number 53.
And that's what Culpepper's going to have to do, Kenny. Look at Atlanta going up on top of Baltimore. And of course, Tampa Bay fans are particularly watching everyone in that new South Division. As you see Corbin Lucina's knee being checked out. It's a tough division, right? You got New Orleans, you got Tampa Bay, Atlanta, even Carolina showing some teeth this season.
Falcons with the lead on a record of 4-3 as Moss makes the catch, met immediately by Ryan Kelly as we check in with James Brown. JB.
Hey, folks, take a look at the Philadelphia-Chicago game. 11 plays, 66 yards. Chicago has yet to convert a 3rd down and barely got that 30-yard field goal by Paul Ettinger through. It is 3-0 Bears. Back to Kenny and Tim.
Hey, thanks, JB. Tell Howie Long that I would have taken offense to all the knocking of lawyers that he did if I didn't know that his own wife, Diane, was an attorney. Howie very upset with some of the fines for big hits going around the league.
Culpepper to Bennett for a gain of just 2. I wouldn't want Howie Long to be upset at me.
No. But he was upset with, he said, a lot of legal issues behind that. And talking about big hits, Simeon Rice just put a big hit. Here's Rice right here. And look at that tremendous get-off. And he just engulfs Dante Culpepper. But, you know, in the NFL, They're trying to protect the quarterbacks. They're trying to protect the wide receivers. And Howie's right. That's what it's all about. It's about the legality of it. That's what the NFL is worried about.
A couple of big fines this week around the league. Penalty markers on 3rd and 7.
Prior to the snap, false start, 62 offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
I think you can credit Simeon Rice with that, because Everett Lindsey struggled with Rice on the last play, and he's thinking about, I have got to get out of there and keep this guy off of Dante Culpepper. You saw Rice's reaction.
4th Viking penalty. Vikings lead the league in false start penalties. 3rd down and 12. Culpepper under pressure. Escape from Greg Spires, and then got the pass away to Mo Williams, but not even close to picking up a 1st down. Stopped at the original line of scrimmage. So the Bucs defense doing their job on 3rd and long, forcing another punt.
Tremendous pressure by Tampa Bay's front 4. And of course it starts with Warren Sapp, who is number 2 in the NFL right now in quarterback sacks with 7.5. You have to double team Sapp if you're going to keep him away from your quarterback, and that means everyone else is going to be single blocked if you only block with your lineman.
Kyle Richardson punting to Carl Williams, looking up into the sun, calls for a fair catch at the 15-yard line. 47 yards on the Richardson punt. On Fox News Channel.
You know how everyone always complains about the liberal media? Well, guess what? Fox News is not liberal. No, it's not the liberal media. And I think that's why they've overtaken CNN. And there's a lot of people out there that like something a little different.
Aaron Stecker on 1st down into Vikings territory. Finally forced out of bounds at the Minnesota 25-yard line.
Well, Stecker certainly deserves a lot of credit, but this offensive line deserves some too. They clear a pretty nice lane for Aaron Stecker, and then he just runs through the Vikings defense. Look familiar? You've seen it before if you're a Vikings fan. And this game, Kenny, is starting to become reminiscent of the Seattle game.
Unnecessary roughness. 25 defense. Half the distance. Automatic 1st down.
A 59-yard run by Stecker, and then a personal foul, which will tack on another 15. Stecker, the former offensive MVP of NFL Europe back in the 1999 season.
I think they meant Tyrone Carter here on the personal foul, Kenny. He kind of puts Stecker in a headlock.
Penalty markers on 1st down. Ricky Dudley down to the 3-yard line following the longest run of Aaron Stecker's NFL career, 59 yards.
It was a fabulous run, too. You know, he cut the ball back and then he ran through the tacklers. The Vikings have struggled tackling all season long. I thought over the last couple of weeks, Kenny, they actually got better at tackling.
Offside defense, 91. That penalty will be declined. 2nd down.
Lorenzo Bromell, but the Buccaneers take the play, not the penalty.
That makes 6 penalties now for the Vikings.
Although this one does not count in the penalty column because it was declined. Buccaneers call timeout on the move with a 17-point lead.
Two of his top 3 wide receivers are not playing. Keenan McCardell, who really was Brad Johnson's go-to guy, is out. Joe Jurevicius, who was his backup, is out. Keyshawn Johnson is in. And Carl Williams, the truth, is having a nice day today.
Allstott and Jameel Cook in the backfield. And Allstott looks to have the first down on 2nd and 1. Warren Sapp was in at tight end on that play, Tim.
He loves that.
He gets a hand from the crowd as he returns to the sidelines.
I'm just surprised they didn't throw it to him. I mean, normally when they put Sapp in the game, it's to throw him the pass.
Already 2 red zone touchdowns. Remember what Sapp told us last time we were here during his rookie season? He was in at fullback. Sam Weiss used him as a fullback on 5 plays, and Eric Rett, Buccaneers running back at the time, scored 3 touchdowns on those 5 plays with Sapp in at fullback.
He liked it. I liked his cheeseburger.
I could not believe that he actually gave you half of his cheeseburger.
That was a big burger, though. You know what I'm saying? That must have had about 5 pounds of meat in it.
You gave Warren a run for his money.
Well, he's a former defensive lineman.
Well, I guess you gave him. You sent him some of your books, and he gave you a cheeseburger.
There you go.
It's a fair trade.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I sent him the book. I bet you if I hadn't sent him the books, I bet you I wouldn't have gotten the cheeseburger.
He wants to pay. I agree. Well, the Bucs did not pick up the first down. It's Allstott on 3rd and inches, and looks to have it this time. Buccaneers have scored on all 3 of their possessions today. 2 touchdowns and a field goal. And they get a new set of downs. An 86-yard drive and twice a short field. First time following a fumble on the opening kickoff, and on their field goal drive, a short punt. First and goal from the 2. Off the play action, it's Keyshawn in the end zone. His 2nd touchdown of the season. And he throws a pretty nice pass up into the stands.
Wow, that made it up into the 2nd tier.
Keyshawn's had a big day. His 4th reception. His first red zone reception of the season. So without Keenan McCardell, without Joe Juravicius, Brad Johnson has thrown 3 touchdown
passes. You can see why the Vikings pass defense is one of the worst in the league. I mean, he was just not even covered. Not at all.
Buccaneers now lead the Vikings 24-0.
Again, this is another nicely designed play by John Gruden. I think John Gruden's innovation is starting to show up. Johnson, right here, he lined up as a tight end, and then he goes out, and there's no one covering him at all. Yeah, see him right here? He's lined up as a tight end. And it really looked to me very much like Brian Russell, the strong safety, was supposed to cover it. Russell, again, his first-year player, former quarterback, trying to learn that position.
And then Keyshawn showed his skills as a quarterback as he threw a spiral up into the stands. Down to the 25-yard line on the return, Cedric James. Rondé Barber on special teams forced him out. Keyshawn heaving one. For Brad Johnson, 11 of 14, 3 touchdowns, as the Buccaneers lead 24-0. Vikings start from their own 25. They've punted on all 3 of their possessions. Penalty marker as Michael Bennett could not hold on to the pass from Culpepper. Guess what, Tim? It's against the Vikings.
Holding. 60 offense. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
It's Corey with Withrow. It's the 8th penalty called on Minnesota, the 6th accepted.
Yeah, and now this was a good holding call. Withrow was locked up on Warren Sapp, and watch Sapp right here. And Withrow right there, he just tackles him from behind. He's got the jersey. Sapp doesn't come up with a second. Warren Sapp's mad. He doesn't care about the holding penalty.
He wants that cheeseburger back.
He wants the sack, man. He is the sack master.
He has 7.5 this year, second in the league. On the 15. Nice hole for Bennett. Michael Bennett is going to take this all the way. 85 yards for a Vikings touchdown.
What a fabulous play by the Minnesota Vikings. Great blocking up front, and the key block really was Kleinsasser, the H-back. Watch Kleinsasser come up here and put the block on the linebacker, and then you see Bennett just raw speed. No one is going to catch Michael Bennett.
The longest run in Minnesota Vikings history. An 85-yard touchdown run by Michael Bennett. Once had only 60 yards of total offense in the entire game before that play. It's the longest run in team history. Clinton Jones had an 80-yard run against Chicago back in 1969. Bennett now in the record books.
It was just a draw play, and that hole opened up tremendously. Tampa Bay's front four salivating, thinking about quarterback sacks, rushing upfield, and the hole was huge. And then Bennett in the open space is where he really is strong because of his speed.
Dwight Smith on the return out to the 24-yard line as we check in with JV.
Hey, Kenny and Tim. And by the way, Tim, Howie says thanks for the note on the lawyer. But take a look at McNabb here on a quarterback keeper. 5 yards to pay dirt. 4th straight game with a rushing touchdown. 6th rushing touchdown of the season. Terry calls him a triple threat. He can pass it, he can run it, he can pass it on the run. I don't know about that. Kenny and Tim, back to you guys.
Thanks, JB. Well, Terry may call Donovan the triple threat, but Warren Sapp called him the ultimate weapon. And then he said Michael Vick was like a great white shark because he was deadly. And then he said that Dante Culpepper was like the white rhino. And I said, why is he like the white rhino? He goes, have you ever seen a white rhino? I said, no. He said, well, most people haven't. And most people haven't seen a quarterback who's 270 pounds.
Ball stop, loss of a yard. Culpepper has a nickname for just about every quarterback he's faced, and he puts them in categories. He has a great category and then an average quarterback category, but Culpepper's with the great ones,
yeah,
in his mind.
And what a great and dynamic personality Sapp has, and very great analogies, I think.
The white rhino. And a great point. How many 270-pound quarterbacks have you seen?
Just one.
Johnson complete for a first down out across the 40-yard line to Michael Pittman, who's the Buccaneers' leading receiver. Gain of 18 yards.
Should not surprise you that Brad Johnson is striking again, because this is what he's done all game long. Allstott, Williams, Dilger, Keyshawn, back to Williams. Just a fantastic day. Dudley for a touchdown, Keyshawn for a touchdown, and then that last one there to Pittman. Brad Johnson has been marvelous.
He spread the ball around, 12 of 15, 6 different receivers. Dilger out to the 45-yard line. Greg Beaker, the tackle.
Boy, Kenny, this game is going to be something for this offensive line in Tampa Bay to build on. Most of their problems have come from mental mistakes. Look at the protection again that they're giving Brad Johnson. And this is no slouch pass rush either. I mean, the Vikings front four have gotten good pressure on people. It's 6 sacks last week against the Chicago Bears. You know how people kind of herald that offensive line. So I think these guys have given themselves something to build on today.
Pass complete into Vikings territory. Reggie Barlow down to the Minnesota 42. Barlow spent some time at Oakland with John Gruden last year. He knows the system well.
He does know the system, and he's a good fill-in while they're waiting for Jurevicius and McCardell to heal up. But Kenny, I talked about this offensive line. Look, this is why they've come under fire. 12 sacks allowed in the last 2 games. Of course, today they've played extremely well.
From the Vikings 42, Allstott cuts to the outside, no gain. Kenny Mixon along with Chuck Wiley on the stop. Under 4 minutes to go, second quarter. Vikings finally on the scoreboard on the 85-yard touchdown run by Bennett. Matches Barry Sanders' longest run ever against the Buccaneers. In fact, Sanders had the 3 longest. He had an 80-yard run, an 82-yard run, and an 85-yard run against Tampa Bay.
Well, when you think of Tampa Bay's great defense, you think also of speed. They have so much speed out there, and that's part of the reason they're so good. And so it's hard to get those long runs against them unless you're Barry Sanders or unless you're Michael Bennett. You have that track speed.
And he has world-class speed. Timeout, Vikings.
This is the way.
Tim Green back in Tampa. Buccaneers took a 24-0 lead. Brad Johnson, 3 touchdown passes, tying his season high. He's completed on 14 of 17 for 159 yards. Keyshawn Johnson, 4 catches, including a touchdown. Carl Williams and Ricky Dudley with the other Buccaneer touchdowns. Play action. Johnson in trouble, dumps it off looking for Allstott. And Johnson took a hit from Chris Hovan. 3rd and 10 coming up.
Johnson doesn't take a lot of sacks, and a lot of the reason is he usually gets rid of the ball relatively quickly. And then when he doesn't get rid of it quickly, he's usually smart enough to be able to dump it off to those underneath receivers.
Unlike Rob Johnson, last week's starter for the Bucs, who holds on to the ball and was sacked 6 times.
Yeah, he looked confused out there.
Johnson to the near side, caught for a first down by Carl Williams. Buccaneers now 5 for 6 on 3rd down. Chris Hovan. 3rd and 10 coming up.
Johnson doesn't take a lot of sacks, and a lot of the reason is he usually gets rid of the ball relatively quickly. And then when he doesn't get rid of it quickly, he's usually smart enough to be able to dump it off to those underneath receivers.
Unlike Rob Johnson, last week's starter for the Bucs, who holds on to the ball and was sacked 6 times.
Yeah, he looked confused out there.
Johnson to the near side, caught for a first down by Carl Williams. Buccaneers now 5 for 6 on 3rd down. A 17-yard pass play.
Brad Johnson is throwing perfectly. Again, Williams with the elusiveness. He's going to come from across the field right here out of the slot. And that ball is just delivered perfectly. Just perfect. Look at this. Look how easy this is for Williams to catch.
Williams' 4th reception.
It looks like they're out there during warm-ups.
Doing it against that 31st ranked Vikings pass defense. Buccaneers have scored more points in this first half than they've scored in any of their last 4 games.
Carl Williams has been the 4th wide receiver, but I think John Gruden's going to have to think seriously, even when McCardell and Jurevicius are back, at getting Carl Williams some more playing time.
It's a good problem to have. 2nd and 7. Johnson under pressure, and he got rid of it. Henry Crockett wrapped up Johnson.
I don't know about that. I don't know if he got out of the out of the pocket on that. He's got to get outside the tackle before he can throw that ball away, and I thought that was an intentional grounding. I think that was one that the officials missed.
And now a 3rd down and 7, 4 wide receivers. Johnson's pass is incomplete. Pittman wrapped up by the rookie out of North Carolina State, Brian Williams. So John Gruden sends out the field goal unit. Martin Gramatica, the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, after he hit 4 field goals against Carolina, including 2 in the 4th quarter of more than 50 yards. This will be a 40-yard attempt. Gramatica hit from 36 earlier. 2 for the holder. And Gramatica's kick is wide to the left. It is no good. So the Buccaneers lead remains 24-7.
And that's got to give the Minnesota Vikings another boost. They were flat all game long, and then Michael Bennett broke one away. 85-yard touchdown run to get him on the scoreboard. The hold looks good. Everything. Snap was good. Gramatica just shanks it.
Gramatica had struggled. He had missed 3 of his last 5 heading into the Carolina game last Sunday, and he went 4 for 4. Here's Culpepper. Culpepper takes off and is brought down at the 33-yard line. A gain of just 2 as we hit the 2-minute warning here in Tampa. Updated with up to the second stats. That's coming up on the Visa halftime report. Vikings have 1 timeout remaining. 1:56 to go following the 2-minute warning.
Now is when you got to push the ball to Randy Moss. Get him downfield and get the ball in his hands.
He has only 1 reception so far. Out of the backfield, it's Mo Williams stretching across to the 41-yard line, close to the marker. An injured Buccaneer, an injured Viking, Derek Alexander, who's had some injury problems as of late.
His backup, Dwayne Bates, is injured as well.
Former Chicago Bear wide receiver is inactive today with a back injury. So Chris Walsh would become the second receiver if Anderson can't return.
And without Bates and Alexander, and that means the Bucs can focus even more on Moss. So what they're doing is they're going with cover 2. 2 deep safeties. That's cover 2. Okay? And what that means is this cornerback can get up here and really press Randy Moss. He doesn't have to worry about getting beat deep, because if Moss gets behind him, so there you see the press. If Moss gets behind him, there's the safety. There's John Lynch. You know it shouldn't, in theory, go for a long touchdown. So really, that's like a form of double coverage. So Brian Kelly able to be very physical and get right up on Randy Moss, as long as he knows there's a safety over the top and he doesn't have to worry about getting beat deep. He can play all the short stuff. You know, that's what most teams have done to Randy Moss all season long. And then what happens is when teams do that, they do that cover 2. You saw Tony Gonzalez on our pregame show, and Gonzalez says he likes cover 2. So if you have a tight end, what you want to do is you want to run that tight end up the seam. He gets man-to-man coverage on a linebacker. So if they're going to continue to do that to Randy Moss, the cover two, the two-man, then Byron Chamberlain, 87, the Vikings tight end, he's going to have to run up the seam, get himself open against a linebacker, and make a big play.
And remember what Mike Tice told us. Randy Moss has come to him and said, if I'm double covered, throw to the tight end. So Alexander carted off to the Vikings locker room. Vikings lose a timeout with the injury stopping the clock in the final 2 minutes of the half. And another good run for Mo Williams.
They figured that draw play worked, gave them their only touchdown. Boy, look at New England up here beating Buffalo 17-7 in the Drew Bledsoe Tom Brady face-off.
Patriots have lost 4 in a row. Culpepper to Moss.
That's a sack. He lost. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even see him throw it.
And Moss ruled inbounds at the 41-yard line. He made the catch, his second of the game.
I didn't even see that ball thrown. I thought Culpepper faked the throw.
First down, Minnesota.
He just zipped that thing out of there at the last second.
A la Chris Carter, his former teammate, to get both feet in.
Well, if they review that, which they will in the booth, it's not a challenge situation inside 2 minutes. So if the booth reviews it, they're going to take that one back.
You think so?
Yeah, because he only had the 1 foot down, and his other foot came off the turf.
So Jeff Triplett will take a look at it.
And again, what you got to the only thing they might had they called a force, because Kelly gave him a shove on that last second.
We are reviewing the catch at the sideline.
Had they ruled a force out,
I thought he got both feet in. It was close.
Yeah. I thought not. Watch this one here, right? Possession. See, I just thought his left. I thought that left foot
toe.
The left.
That's the key.
Because there's possession, right? Close. You might stand a chance because again, it has to be a indisputable visual evidence to overturn the call on the field.
So if the call is not overturned, do I get the cheeseburger from Sapp next time?
Gonna have to send him a couple books.
I'll have to write one first. A couple of injury updates. Derek Alexander, a strained knee. His return is doubtful. And Corbin Lucina, also doubtful with a sprained right knee.
You know who has a book out? Red McCombs. Told me right before the game.
Vikings owner?
Yep. Got a book on his business strategies and success.
Did he come to you for a book review?
He said he was going to send me a copy. I would review it.
Book of the Month Club. You can send Red a book. Red can send you his book.
After reviewing the play, there is not indisputable visual evidence with which to overturn the ruling on the field. Therefore, it is a catch at the sideline.
I get the cheeseburger.
I wondered why you were my favorite play-by-play announcer in the game.
Why was that?
You're right all the time.
Not all the time.
Most of the time. Gruden's not happy. I tell you what, you know what? He's got to be happy about his offense and his offensive line, though.
Absolutely.
They've played well today. They've really given Brad Johnson some outstanding protection. And I think the other thing John Gruden has to be happy about, each one of Tampa Bay's 3 touchdowns was a result of a really well-designed play by Gruden. And it was well executed by his players, but each one I thought was a clever chalkboard play.
And the Buccaneers offense has taken some heat the last couple of weeks here in Tampa. You never know who might take some heat from JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy. Well, not JB, but the other guys.
You know,
the Visa halftime report.
Everybody's going to take some heat, right?
Not from JB, though.
But you might get an apology. You see Terry Bradshaw today?
I did.
He apologized for calling Jeff Garcia, saying that he was ugly.
Did he mean his game?
Well, that's what he said. He said that's what he meant, but he said it was wrong anyways, and he apologized to his parents.
Well, I had the chance to watch Garcia and the 49ers the last 2 weeks, and I can tell you his game's not ugly. 49ers first place with a 5-2 record. From the 41, Culpepper lost the football, then recovers a penalty flag.
He's going to try to get it up to Moss.
And it's batted away. Dexter Jackson in the end zone.
Good discipline by Dexter Jackson.
Another Vikings penalty. 9th flag against the Vikings, the 7th that will be accepted.
Holding, 76 offense. 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
That's Chris Lewinsky, the right tackle.
Lewinsky had Greg Spires racing right around the outside on him.
7 penalties and the turnover on the opening kickoff. Nick Davis fumbled the opening kickoff.
And the key penalty was the holding on the Randy Moss touchdown. 40-yard touchdown pass to Moss.
Which would have tied the game at 7.
Yeah, and it was an incredible catch.
Mo Williams tripped up by Brian Kelly. Vikings don't have any timeouts.
You know, Brian Kelly's really had a good season. Coming into the year, everyone thought, all right, you know what, we're going to have to go at Brian Kelly, right? Because Rondé Barber had the 10 interceptions last year, and Barber plays at such a high level, Pro Bowl player. Kelly has really met the challenge.
And there's Barber to make the tackle on the catch by Mo Williams. Culpepper's 8th consecutive completion.
Yeah, but he's not completing them downfield. No, he's just throwing this underneath stuff. I mean, he's got to push it downfield.
Buccaneers call timeout. And the clock continues to run, but that will be reset at around 12 seconds.
Well, I think, Kenny, and I know I'm against the whole Moss-Randy ratio thing, but I think on this drive they've really not gone to him very much. And I know that, again, you see the press coverage, and you know that there's a safety over the top. But man, when you need a big play, you know what I'm saying? When you need a big play, I think you got to go to Randy Moss downfield. This was the one where Culpepper actually fumbled the ball, and they had the holding penalty. Look at him there. I mean, he could beat that on that one there. He beat the press coverage, beat the tar out of the press coverage, right? I mean, he knocked Kelly right to the ground. So I understand, you know, I was one of the guys saying, hey, this Randy ratio is somewhat ridiculous, but I think there's a certain time and place when you really need to push that ball to your best player.
And the Randy ratio, Mike Tice and his staff studied last year's games, and when the Vikings threw to Moss, 40% of the time they went 4-1.
See, now they're actually doubling Randy with 2 cornerbacks. Rondé Barber is playing him underneath, and Kelly is playing him over the top.
And the pass caught by Chris Walsh. Remember, the Vikings don't have any timeouts. Walsh with a lateral. Ball still loose. And the half will come to an end. Vikings were ruled down. And a penalty flag.
Was it ruled down, or was it ruled an illegal forward pass?
Walsh should have run for the sidelines to give the Vikings a chance for one last play. He had time to get out of bounds.
The other issue here is if you fumble the ball forward, you're the only one inside 2 minutes. You're the only one that can recover it.
The first mistake, Walsh not running for the sidelines.
Well, Walsh is open. It's a nice throw. He makes a nice move, and yeah, I think you're right there. He should have just gotten himself to the sideline. That's okay. He can lateral it there. That may be the problem right there.
Yeah, forward fumble by Williams.
Although, to be honest with you, once the Tampa Bay guys get their hands on it, and then they fumble it, I'm not certain whether or not Minnesota can't then pick it up and advance it. Although I don't know if he's down by contact or not.
Well, it looks like a defensive penalty. The half cannot end on a defensive penalty.
So Minnesota may have the ball, and they may have a chance to kick a field goal here. So they may have ruled him down by contact, but the holding penalty gives Minnesota a shot at 3 points.
The runner is ruled down by contact. After the runner is ruled down by contact in the field of play, unnecessary roughness, personal foul, Tampa Bay number 59 occurs. By rule, that penalty will be assessed half the distance from the dead ball spot. And Minnesota will have one uncharged time correction and the extension of the period for one untimed down.
Well, the first problem is the Buccaneers don't have a number 59.
Well, that's okay.
So the half would have ended. Williams was ruled down by contact. And this was after he was ruled down. And then,
well, you know,
Barber.
Oh yeah, he got snagged. And it's Cedric James hit him in the back, right? It's that classic thing that every father tells his son. I tell my kids all the time, you can't, if you retaliate, you're the one that's going to get in trouble. And that's what happened. Cedric James shoved Barber in the back. Barber turns around, shoves Cedric James, and may, if Gary Anderson makes this kick, have cost his team 3 points.
So because the penalty was called on the defense, Vikings will have a chance to kick a field goal. So the half would have ended if not for the Barber penalty.
There's the run.
We're going to review whether an illegal forward pass occurred on the play.
Which was the handoff from Walsh to Mo Williams.
There's the shove right there. You see it? James with the shove.
They're going to review whether it was an illegal, illegal lateral from Chris Walsh to Mo Williams. So Jeff Triplett checking out the replay. And this will determine whether the Vikings will have a chance to kick the field goal. Now, if it's ruled an illegal forward pass, then do they forget about the Barber penalty?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question.
Because if it's ruled an illegal forward pass here from Walsh to Williams, the play continued, and then Barber committed the personal foul. So we'll have to let Jeff Triplett explain this one.
Well, you know what? The officials this season have done a great job of doing that, though. Would you agree? I know Mike Ferrara talked to us in August, and the head of the officials, and he said, look, we're going to do a good job communicating this year. And I think they really have. They've explained why they're doing it, you know, what happened and what they saw.
And the league made it a point during the summer to emphasize to the officials at their training camp to communicate better with the fans in the stadium and the viewers watching on television as well.
And us.
Here's a halftime report is coming up. JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy scores and highlights. And the Fox Sports ticker with up to the second stats. Here's Jeff.
After reviewing the play, there is not any visual conclusive evidence that there was an illegal forward pass. Therefore, the ruling on the field stands.
So the Barber penalty stands. And Gary Anderson, the oldest player in the National Football League, he's 43. And he's currently tied with the Chiefs' Morton Anderson with 481 career field goals, tied for the most all time. So he'll have a chance to go ahead of Morton because the Chiefs do not play today. So a strange ending to this first half here in Tampa. So the officials have already determined that the lateral from Walsh to Williams was okay. Williams was then ruled down by contact before he fumbled the football forward. Mike Pereira, the head of officiating, will be able to use this play in his officiating clinics next year. There are about 6 different things for the officials to look at and figure out. Well, now they're set. This will be a 26-yard attempt. Kyle Richardson is the holder, and Gary Anderson hits career field goal number 482. He's now the all-time leader in field goals and career points. So the Vikings scored the last 10 points of the first half after they fell behind 24-0. The Visa halftime report is coming up.
Fox Monday, students.
As we welcome you back, Kenny Albert with Tim Green. Tim, big first half for Brad Johnson and the Bucs offense.
I mean, Brad Johnson, don't forget, come into this game, broken rib. He was out last week. He was sick earlier in the week, but he has been spectacular today. Really, 15 out of 21 passes complete, 176 yards, 3 touchdowns, and what he's done, Kenny, really is he's moved the ball around quite well. And we saw him, with the short passes to Mike Allstott. Of course, Allstott helped out a little bit in the run game as well. He's had 20 yards on the ground, and then we saw Johnson pushing the ball downfield. Carl Williams stepping in for the injured Keenan McCardell and Joe Juravicius. He's had a nice day for himself. And then Keyshawn Johnson, who was coming into this game, was going to be the primary target, and he is not disappointed. He had his first red zone touchdown catch and then tossed it into the stands.
The numbers on Allstott: 28 total yards. Keyshawn, 4 receptions, 56 yards. And Carl Williams reached the end zone as well. Ricky Dudley with the other Buccaneers touchdown.
As much as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done well, part of the problem too, though, has been the miscues by the Minnesota Vikings, Kenny. And it started out with a fumble on the first play of the game, the kickoff. Tampa Bay immediately scored, and then since then it hasn't been the turnovers, but it's been penalties, critical penalties. They've had 7 of them, and of course the one holding penalty against Corbin Lucina early in the game that called back a 40-yard touchdown pass to Randy Moss. And still the Vikings are in this game.
Short kickoff by Hayden Epstein. Aaron Stecker, who had a 59-yard run earlier, brings it out to the 34-yard line, tackled by Jack Brewer. So the Buccaneers go on offense to start the second half. Brad Johnson, 3 touchdown passes. And Mike Tice's club trailed 24-0, but they did score the last 10 points.
That's right, and you see the miscues there, and he's lost the pencil out of his ear. I saw Jimmy Johnson during halftime put a pen in his ear with a little subliminal suggestion, but Mike Tice has had the pencil knocked right out of his ear.
Perhaps he needed to get it sharpened.
I think he's looking for anything to reverse the ugly trend that Minnesota has shown in their last 4 trips down here to Tampa Bay.
13 yards for Mike Allstott on the first play of the second half.
And this is just classic Allstott. Gets up to the line of scrimmage, makes a move, runs through one tackler, bowls over another.
He's averaged over 100 yards on the ground in each of the last 4 home games against Minnesota, all won by the Bucs. Johnson looking for Jameel Cook, the second-year fullback out of Illinois.
One thing John Gruden has always done a good job of, and he did it when he was with Oakland. He spread the ball around. He gets every player involved. But you know this, Kenny, that if you get your opportunity, as Cook just had there, you have to make something out of it. Otherwise, that ball, they want to move it around to plenty of different people, plenty of different players. And if you make a mistake when it's your turn, you probably don't get another turn today.
And Johnson hit 7 different receivers in the first half. Here's Pittman. across the 50-yard line. Chris Hovan made the tackle. Remember, for the Vikings, 85 of their 208 total yards came on the Bennett run.
Yeah, that was the biggest play for the Vikings of the first half. And if you look at it again, the real big thing for the Bucs has been that 176 yards of passing. 3 of those passes were for touchdowns.
3rd down and 6. 3 wide receivers. Williams in motion. Johnson's pass is caught by Keyshawn, but a nice job to bring him down by the combination of Eric Kelly and Brian Williams, stopped 2 yards shy of the marker. So the Vikings will get the ball back, and a touchdown here would pull Minnesota to within 7.
Well, you can see, Kenny, that Keyshawn Johnson is drawing a crowd. 3 guys on him there after he catches that football.
So Tom Tupa will punt for the first time. Buccaneers scored on 4 of their 5 first-half possessions, and Gramatica missed a field goal on the other. So the first punt of the game by Tupa. Out of bounds at the 26-yard line. So the Vikings go on offense, down by 2 touchdowns when we return.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers.
Back in Tampa, Buccaneers leading 24-10. They led 24-0. And now the Vikings get the ball starting at their own 22-yard line. Vikings lost 2 starters to injury in the first half. Left guard Corbin Lucina and wide receiver Derek Alexander, who both suffered sprained knees and have not returned. Vikings keep it on the ground on first down, and Bennett out to the 28-yard line. And he goes over 100 yards for the 2nd consecutive week. Had an 85-yard touchdown run in the 2nd quarter.
Well, it's actually a pretty good run. It develops slow. Watch Warren Sapp. I mean, he just blows Winthrop right back into Bennett. But Bennett just reloads, and Winthrop stays on the block. And that's really what makes that thing. I mean, Winthrop just will not stop blocking Warren Sapp, even though he's blown into his own backfield.
On 2nd down and 4, the end around to Randy Moss. And he picks up the first down. So the Vikings looking to get the ball in the hands of Moss. It's only his 4th touch. He has 2 receptions and now 2 carries today.
Yeah, this reverse has not worked extremely well for them over the last couple of weeks. You know, they continue to run it, and I understand it's another good way to get the ball into Randy Moss's hands. But again, really, Randy Moss's danger is downfield behind the defense, making acrobatic plays.
There's 2 catches today, Tim, for only 10 yards combined. On the 34, Culpepper pump fakes. Is in trouble, lost the football, had it knocked away, and then recovered. Simeon Rice knocked the ball out of the hands of Culpepper. For Culpepper, his 10th fumble of the season. He's lost 5 of the 10.
Simeon Rice is having a big day over here. He starts with a power rush, comes back to the inside. And Culpepper is fortunate just to get that ball back into his own hands.
Rice with 11 sacks last year.
They may want to start to think about giving Lewinsky some help over there on Rice.
On 2nd and 15. Up the middle for a short game. Mo Williams. So the Vikings facing a 3rd and long situation. Simeon Rice made the tackle.
3rd down 12.
Chicago out in front of Philadelphia. kind of surprised. Chicago's really self-destructed.
Lost to the Vikings last week, 25-7. How about New England? 24-7 over Buffalo. Third down and 11 for Culpepper on the Vikings. 3 wide receivers set. Culpepper can't find anyone. Then it's Mo Williams out of the backfield. But he stopped 5 yards shy of the marker by Shelton Quarles and Dwight Smith. So the Vikings will have to punt it away. Good series for the Buccaneers defense.
Well, Kenny, I said that they needed to get some help on Simeon Rice. Here comes Mo Williams, and that's a chip block right there. So they give Lewinsky a little bit of help, but it's not Simeon Rice who's on him. It's the rest of the Tampa Bay defensive front bringing the heat on Dante Culpepper.
Good kick by Richardson. And Williams calls for the fair catch back at the 18-yard line.
I am Emmitt Smith. I'm Emmitt Smith.
Buccaneers scored the game's first 24 points. They lead the Vikings 24-10, looking to win. They're at home against their former division rival for the 5th consecutive year. Minnesota now in the NFC North, Bucs in the NFC South. Longtime NFC Central rivals. Buccaneers start from their own 18-yard line. Johnson dumping it off to Stecker. Aaron Stecker has a first down, but a penalty marker back at the 15-yard line. Gain of 12 from Johnson to Stecker.
And it wouldn't surprise me if that's against Jeff Christie for a block in the back. I'm not sure, but Fred Robbins had a pretty good bead on that screen pass. That may not be what it is, but then again, it might.
There is no foul for an illegal block in the back. As long as the play is the first down.
I guess it's none of the above.
Well, I think the official saw the same thing that I was looking at, and then they probably conferred and said that it was down there in the pit. And you know, in that interior line area, you can block people on the back, and I think that's probably what they determined.
So a 12-yard pass play from Johnson to Stecker. 3 wide receivers from the 30. Michael Pittman cuts to the outside. Another flag. Pittman gains 5 out to the 35. This one's against the Bucs.
Holding, 72 offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Roman Oben, the left tackle.
Tampa Bay's offense has come out here in the second half. You see Atlanta goes up over Baltimore, but now Tampa Bay's offense all of a sudden kind of looks a little bit like they have in recent weeks. The thing that ignited this offense in the first half, honestly, was Brad Johnson throwing the ball. So I think they're going to have to get back to that passing game.
Johnson to the air, to a wide open tight end, Kent Dilger. Into Vikings territory. They finally bring him down at the 40-yard line after a gain of 40.
And this really is just that typifies the Vikings pass defense. I mean, Dilger just comes here, he sits down in the zone, he's wide open, right? He's wide open. Look at him right here. No one even close to him. And then Russell misses the tackle. And then he carries a couple Vikings for 10 more yards.
Third catch of the day for Dilger.
But as I said, I mean, that's what Tampa Bay needed to do. Get back to that passing game, because that's where they're going to win this game.
Keyshawn Johnson down to the 21. A gain of 19 more. Bucs, listen to you.
Well, it was, you know, it's it's an obvious thing. You know what I mean? And Brad Johnson's having a big day. Now Chavis is up right here, and he's pressing him, and he's got pretty decent coverage. But Keyshawn just runs a little bit in front of him, and the ball is so well thrown. Look at the placement of this football. Keyshawn never has to break stride, and the ball, again, is just perfectly thrown right in his hands. I mean, we have seen Brad Johnson throw so accurately today that, you know, Gruden, just keep doing it. Just keep going to the air.
All stop, bottled up. Keyshawn caught only 5 passes combined the last 2 games. He has 6 receptions today, including a touchdown, only his 2nd of the season. Brad Johnson with 3 first-half touchdown passes. Keyshawn and Pittman back in on 2nd and 11.
I mean, just Johnson's accuracy today has been stellar. 3 for 3 on this drive, 71 yards. He's thrown 3 touchdown passes today.
Play clock down to 2. Off the play fake. Johnson to Allstott for a short gain. Down to the 19-yard line. Gain of 3. Nick Rogers made the tackle. Remember, Brad Johnson drafted by the Vikings in the 9th round back in '92 out of Florida State. Spent his first 7 seasons in Minnesota.
Played a little bit over in NFL Europe.
Yep.
He was a London Monarch, of all things.
And then in Minnesota, he backed up Warren Moon, Randall Cunningham, Jeff George, finally became the starter. 3rd down and 8. Johnson looking end zone, looking Keyshawn, who holds on for the touchdown. His 2nd today.
Did you see Brad Johnson just use up Ronnie Bradford with that pump fake to his left? That was great technical quarterback play.
Keyshawn Johnson had 2 touchdown receptions in his last 25 games. Coming into today's action, he has 2 today.
I think Terry Bradshaw's up in line for another apology.
He caught 1 last season, 1 this season, 2 this afternoon. We'll be right back.
Keyshawn Johnson, his 2nd touchdown of the day. He's going to have to credit Brad Johnson. The focus right here is the free safety, Ronnie Bradford. See, Johnson, he does the pump fake, and that draws Bradford to the right, and that just gives the opening for Keyshawn right there, right in center field. Bradford unable to recover after the brilliant pump fake. And here's Keyshawn. He comes up. See, there's the safety. Johnson does his job, Brad Johnson. So it's open there for Keyshawn Johnson.
And Bradford has still not gotten up, shaken up in the end zone. For Keyshawn Johnson, he ties a career best with 2 touchdowns today. 6th time in his career he's reached the end zone twice in 1 game. Training staff working on Bradford. And Brad Johnson ties his career high with 4 touchdown passes today. The Buccaneers have scored 30 points for only the 2nd time this season. They scored 35 in Cincinnati. Martin Gramatica for the extra point. It's now 31-10. Tampa Bay, just over 5 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. Johnson to Johnson for the 2nd time today.
The NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 37. By Wendy's Mozzarella Chicken Supreme. It's chicken at a higher level. By T-Mobile. Get more minutes, more features, more service. And by Coors Light. It's up and it's good. Coors Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL. Rock on.
I said earlier in this game, I'd be surprised if Keyshawn Johnson didn't catch 8 to 10 balls today. He's already caught 7 for 98 yards, 2 of them touchdowns.
Mo Williams on the return, out of bounds at the 20-yard line.
The reason why I thought Keyshawn would catch so many passes today, there you see Keenan McCardell, who is out. And there's Joe Jaravicius, who was the 3rd wide receiver who stepped in to replace McCardell. And I think the other guy that you have to mention in all this is Carl Williams, who's had a good day as well. He's got 4 catches for 49 yards and a touchdown of his own.
27 of the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Aaron Stecker called for unnecessary roughness. Brad Johnson with the 4 touchdown passes today. It's only the 7th time in Buccaneers history a quarterback has thrown 4 in one game. The last to do it, the backup today, Sean King. Rob Johnson's the 3rd quarterback. There's King, who threw 4 touchdown passes back in October of 2000 against the Minnesota Vikings.
Bit of a Vikings curse down here. We may see Sean King before this one's over.
Came in for one very important play last week. Culpepper complete to a wide-open Cedric James, his first reception of the season in Buccaneers territory. Second-year man out of TCU, who spent last year on IR. It's his first NFL catch, and it's good for 29 yards.
Well, Cedric James was wide open. Randy Moss thinks he's open on this. He beats Kelly. And you know what? He was open on that. As you see Dexter Jackson coming over, and I think Dexter Jackson trying to get over the top of Randy Moss is what made Cedric James so open.
And James gained 29 from the 35. Culpepper in the process of going down as Shartrick Darby wrapped him up, and then he threw it away.
Darby filling in for Anthony McFarland, who is the nose guard for this Tampa Bay defense. You know, the nose guard is always the kind of the unsung hero. He's got to use up blockers. There's Anthony right there. Broke his forearm in last week's game, and he will be sorely missed. He has played fantastic football this season. And Warren Sapp, who gets most of the attention, would be the first one to tell you that McFarland is just a terror there in the middle.
What a catch by Moss. Climbed the ladder to make the catch at the 14-yard line. Only his 3rd reception today for a gain of 21.
That was pretty vintage. See Randy Moss in the middle of the field making it just a spectacular play. He gets open, he sees the zone. That ball is not well thrown by Dante Culpepper. But Moss can make up for an errant throw with just spectacular athleticism. 3 catches today, but let's not forget he had the 1 touchdown, 40-yard touchdown pass that was called back earlier in the game.
So the Vikings on the move. Culpepper on the move, and he's brought down. Rondé Barber with his first sack of the season. It was a yard behind the line of scrimmage, so a sack for Barber.
I thought Barber was offsides, Kenny. I'm not certain, but Barber comes up. You're going to see him come up in here. He's coming up on the blitz. I don't know.
It looked like he was.
Yeah, it looked like he was in the neutral zone.
Loss of a yard on the play. Second down and 11 from the 16. Culpepper under pressure again. Gets it out to the fullback, Kleinsaucer. And Kleinsaucer all the way down to the 1-yard line.
Wow. Tell you, I think it was Matt Burke had a big block on the outside there to help Kleinsaucer. Watch it right here. Here's Kleinsaucer. He gives a fake block. Here's Matt Burke. Watch. No, is it Matt Burke? No.
It was Lewinsky.
It was Lewinsky. It was a nice block by Lewinsky.
Into the end zone for his 7th rushing touchdown of the season is Mo Williams, who has scored in each of the last 5 games on the ground. That's one shy of the Vikings club record. 2 touchdowns his first 6 seasons, 5 years in Minnesota, last year in Baltimore, and now back with the Vikings.
That was an impressive drive, Kenny. I mean, think about it. This is the #1 defense in the NFL. And the #1 pass defense. And on that series there, the Vikings they work their way methodically down the field and then punch it in with Mo Williams.
A 6-play, 64-yard drive. Vikings back within 2 touchdowns. 3 of 4, 64 yards on the scoring drive, including the big catch by Randy Moss at the 15-yard line. Vikings have trailed by as many as 24. An onside kick and a penalty flag. Looks like the Vikings have recovered
got the kick,
but a penalty flag. They may have been offside.
Yeah, they're probably going to have to re-kick it.
Jack Brewer recovered the Hayden Epstein onside kick. Pencils back.
Yeah, I like the call by Mike Tice, too. Right? You got to like that. You got to like the onside kick.
Offside, Tampa Bay.
Whoa.
That penalty is declined.
No, he meant Minnesota.
Correction, offside, Tampa Bay, 59. That penalty is declined. Minnesota ball.
It was Tampa Bay offside.
That's the second time that imaginary number 59 has been called for a penalty. Must have been 58, Jack Golden.
There he is right there. And he goes, Golden gets into that 10-yard neutral zone before the ball is kicked. Now, that's the first time I've ever seen that. That's the first time I've ever seen the receiving team go offside.
So the Vikings recover the onside kick and go to work, and Simeon Rice with the pressure, Sapp the interception, and the lateral. Simeon Rice nearly sacked Culpepper, and Culpepper would have been better off going down.
That's Warren Sapp's second interception on the season. We saw him intercept the pass about 4 weeks ago in Atlanta. He lateraled that one to Derek Brooks. Brooks scored a touchdown. And look at Warren Sapp. That's just another day at the office for Sapp. Like you said, Rice is the guy. He puts the pressure on Culpepper. Culpepper tries to get rid of it. And it's another Vikings turnover, right? Just when they get something going, they come within 2 touchdowns. They are successful with the onside kick. And then Dante Culpepper with the interception.
Alstott up the middle. League-leading 17th pick for the Tampa Bay defense.
That makes Culpepper's 13th interception on the year. That is the most interceptions by any quarterback in the NFL so far this season.
Rice on the left with the pressure, and Sapp with the interception of Culpepper. Second Minnesota turnover today. 2nd down and 7. Keyshawn Johnson. First down, Buccaneers, down to the Minnesota 25. Keyshawn's 8th catch as he goes over the 100-yard mark for the second time this season.
They're going to have, you see, Chavis is going to be to the outside, and they're going to have to change the way that they're covering Keyshawn Johnson, because right now the Buccaneers are not afraid at all of the safety play by the Minnesota Vikings.
Big day for Keyshawn.
They're making those moves to the inside on the safeties, and so far the Viking safeties have not been able to stop them.
All stop gains 2 down to the 23 as we wind down this third quarter. Talk about a momentum swing. Vikings recovered an onside kick, down by 14, and then Culpepper immediately gives it right back.
And it's been the story of the Vikings season, Kenny. Turnovers. They've had more than any other team, and that's why they're 2-5.
3 quarters in the books here in Tampa. Brad Johnson, 4 touchdown passes. Buccaneers leading 31-17.
Feels like you made a mistake.
You're watching NFL on Fox.
Here you go. You just programmed your new...
As we start the fourth quarter in Tampa, Buccaneers leading by 14, and Minnesota Vikings turnovers have been the story all season long. 2 big ones today.
I mean, they started the game out, they fumble on the opening kick, and then Tampa Bay scores. And then, it's more mishaps. They've had a lot of penalties. They had a Randy Moss touchdown call back because of a holding penalty. And again, now when they're in a situation where it looks like they can get back into this game, it's another interception, another turnover, and now Tampa Bay is just going back to what has worked all game for them. That's Keyshawn Johnson, and I will say this to you. Brad Johnson today has been spectacular with his accuracy, and I know, and I heard the guys talking at halftime, Howie and Terry, and they were saying, well, it's the Minnesota Vikings defense. I know it's one of the worst pass defenses in the league, but you cannot discount the incredible accuracy that Brad Johnson has had all day long in his passes.
He's 23 of 30 and 4 touchdowns. All stop. Brought down at the 5 by Greg Beekert. Brad Johnson has connected on his last 8 pass attempts, Tim, with 5 of the 8 going to Keyshawn. Brad Johnson over the 300-yard mark.
And you see him hobbling. I mean, don't forget, he's got a broken rib.
Yep. His 5th career 300-yard day. First time this season.
Look at those numbers. Wow.
There was question early in the week as to who would start. Sean King's the backup. Rob Johnson, the 3rd quarterback for the Bucs. All stop. Brad Johnson hitting Mike Allstott. And for Brad Johnson, a career-best 5th touchdown pass of the game. And that's a new Bucs record. First time a Tampa Bay quarterback has thrown 5 touchdown passes in a game in the history of the franchise.
Well, he certainly deserved it today. Playing with pain, playing extremely well.
He threw 7 touchdown passes, his first 7 starts this season. He has 5 today. And the Bucs have a season-high 38 points.
Little kids at the beach, familiar sight to both Kenny Albert and myself, right?
I haven't been to the beach in a while.
Well, when you are, you're there with your young daughter.
Who enjoyed her Halloween as Minnie Mouse. Well, coming this February, the world's best drivers return to Fox with the 45th running of the Great American Race. The Daytona 500 drops the flag on 15 weeks of NASCAR coverage, returning this February on Fox. How about your kids? What were they for Halloween?
My kids were kind of like John Gruden's kids. Remember, Gruden said his kids were these like horrible monsters, and he was really proud of it. And my kids were these, mixed, ghoul type. My daughter was a satellite, maybe a baked potato. She wasn't quite sure.
A baked potato?
She's either a baked potato or a satellite, or the Epcot ball at Disney World.
Never heard of anybody dressing up as a baked potato.
My daughter's very creative.
Both start. 62 offense. 5 5-yard penalty.
Another penalty. Incredible. Hey, Brad Johnson's his son was a cow. I think I'd go with the baked potato before I'd go with the cow.
First and 15.
His son did dress as a cow. Warren Sapp's kids were Jesse and Woody from Toy Story.
Warren Sapp did it right. They're taking the golf cart around his neighborhood.
Pressure on Culpepper. And a penalty flag. Intentional grounding.
Well, we saw in the pregame show where Dick LeBeau guaranteed a win against Houston, right?
He really went out on a limb.
Well, as they said, Jimmy Johnson said, hey, Houston has 2 more wins than Cincinnati. I don't know what they're predicting.
Intentional grounding. Number 11. Offense. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Second down. Loss of down.
Yeah, so Warren Sapp drove his kids around on a golf cart on Halloween on Thursday night. I told you about the haunted house in John Gruden's garage. Why am I not surprised by that?
This game has been haunted for the Minnesota Vikings. Their 2 turnovers have resulted in 14 Bucs points, and there's another turnover.
Al Singleton with his first interception of the season, the 3rd Minnesota turnover.
And this is just a poor pass by Dante Culpepper. He runs a bootleg and he throws back. Here's Dante. He's going to throw back here, and Singleton is just sitting right there in the zone. Look at Singleton. He's right there in front of Randy Moss. It's as if Culpepper doesn't even see Singleton in that underneath zone. See that? I mean, that's he just had the position and everything. So Dante trying to make something happen here, not far from his own home, forces one, and it's another turnover.
Michael Pittman coming to the outside. Down the sidelines, forced out of bounds after a gain of 13 as we check in with James Brown. JB?
Kenny Albert, Tim Green, 12-play drive for Dallas on this one, and maybe the back of this season. Troy Hambrick with his first touchdown of the season. That puts Detroit behind by 1 in what is an ugly game, Kenny and Tim. Back to you guys.
Thanks, JB. And you know, Kenny, I thought it was fascinating when Jimmy Johnson said this morning that Hambrick is going to replace Emmitt Smith. That now, once Emmitt Smith, now he's broken the record. He's broken the all-time record last week by Walter Payton, and that Hambrick is going to replace him. And Hambrick's darn good.
And when Pam Oliver spoke with Emmitt after the game last week and asked him what he wants to do next, he says, I want to continue on like Jerry Rice. And we see what Rice has been able to do in Oakland.
Yeah.
And you wonder if Emmitt perhaps would play elsewhere next season if the Cowboys let him go.
Yeah, and he may. I mean, Jerry Rice, speaking of him, coming up next, the 49ers at the Raiders, Battle of the Bays, and this will be the first time that Jerry Rice will be facing his old team. And with Pam Oliver's interview, you could see that there was some serious, Rice is looking for payback. He felt insulted by the way he was let go by the 49ers.
Coached by John Gruden last year in Oakland. All-star on the carry. And I was out in the Bay Area last week. Some controversy with the Raiders having lost 3 in a row, with Jerry Rice getting more balls in recent games than Tim Brown.
Yeah. To bring it back to our game here, if you look at Rice in his first 4 seasons, and Randy Moss has eclipsed what Jerry Rice did in his first 4 seasons. So, interesting. But the thing that Rice did is he not only had those first 4 seasons with incredible numbers, but he just kept doing it, and he kept getting better.
Penalty flags as Johnson hits Pittman. And he's tackled by Tyrone Carter.
Offside. Defense. 91. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
That's Lorenzo. Lorenzo Bromell, the 10th Vikings penalty.
Yeah, Bromel's second. Vikings 10th.
Brad Johnson, 313 yards in the air and a club record tying 5 touchdown passes. He's hit his last 9 attempts, 24 of 31. With Keyshawn Johnson leading the way, 9 receptions for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. 3rd down and 2 following the penalty. Allstott cutting to the outside, turns the corner, and picks up the 1st down.
I'm not sure if they got it or not, Kenny. Signaling 4th down.
Well, spot just outside the 10. Let's see where he stepped out of bounds.
Well, one thing the Vikings have done today, they haven't done a lot, but they have limited Mike Allstott to 2.1 yards a carry, which is pretty good. But it's been the passing game which has been their undoing.
So it is a 4th and inches, and the Buccaneers will go for it. Allstott, and he stopped him.
That was a huge hit. I don't know if that was Mixon. There's Greg Biekert.
So the Vikings will go back on offense following the stop on 4th down, trailing 38-17.
Everybody, I tell you what, I'll take Marty Booker in that position. He will make that catch 9 out of 10 times. That is very
Vikings back on offense, just over 10 minutes remaining. And it's Mo Williams on 1st down. Force back.
Vikings back in this one with the ball after their turnover because of a defensive effort. Watch Lance Johnstone. He gets a penetration, and then it's Greg Biekert up over the top. Johnstone there with the penetration. He hits Allstott low. Biekert is the second guy to him. And it's a really nice defensive effort by Minnesota.
By 2 of John Gruden's ex-Raiders, Johnstone and Biekert.
There you go.
2nd and 10, 3 wide receivers. Culpepper had been picked off on his last 2 pass attempts. This time, Michael Bennett scampers out to the 17 before he was tackled by Derek Brooks at 5 yards on the play.
You know, Kenny, the defense for Tampa Bay is number 1 because their individuals are so special. I mean, Rondé Barber is a great cover corner. Watch him here. Watch him rush the passer. I mean, he's a cornerback. He's rushing on an offensive tackle, and he clears him. He just does the club and swim underneath. That's amazing. For a guy who can play cornerback to also be able to rush on an offensive tackle and beat him.
Rondé with 8 tackles today. Culpepper complete to Moss for a 1st down at the 27-yard line.
I mean, think about it. You got Rondé, who's a cornerback, who can pass rush, and then you've got Warren Sapp, who's the pass rush and defensive lineman, and he's got an interception today. I mean, the athletic ability of these guys is only outdone by their incredible effort. You know, their incredible effort. Because when you look at Sapp and Lynch and Barber and Brooks, yeah, they have all this amazing athletic talent, but their effort is just stalwart.
Culpepper to Kleinsaucer. Good second effort.
I don't think he was down.
Kleinsaucer still on his feet. Inside the Buccaneers 35. Finally brought down by Singleton.
He was not down, and no one whistled. There was no whistle.
39-yard pickup for Kleinsaucer.
Here's Kleinsaucer right here. Nice catch.
Nope.
And his knee never hits the ground.
His hand did, but his knee did not.
It just goes right over the top of Kelly.
Culpepper under pressure. Got rid of it to Harold Morrow. Excuse me, it's Michael Bennett inside the 15, down to the 13-yard line.
Nice run by Michael Bennett. Vikings in their hurry-up offense, which of course they have to be. They're 3 touchdowns behind. Time is starting to run out here.
Vikings using the hurry-up offense. 3 wide receivers set from the Buccaneers 13. Inside the 5, down to the 3.
Michael Bennett on the carry.
So an impressive drive after Culpepper was intercepted on each of the last 2 Viking drives, including one after Minnesota recovered an onside kick.
This is the best I've seen Michael Bennett run since he's been a Viking. You know that? I mean, his running today has been superb. And the thing that has been different today is the way he's kind of picked his way through holes. You know, on the big draw play that he had, it didn't develop quickly, but I think he's shown a little bit of patience today, and he's waited to find the hole and then used his speed rather than just trying to use his speed right from the start. Look at those numbers. Of course, one of those was that 85-yard touchdown on the draw play that I was talking about, but he's looked really good. He's looked more elusive than I've ever seen him look.
Tough task last season in replacing the retired Robert Smith. Gained 106 yards last week against the Bears. The stop just short. So a 2nd down and 1. Bennett the lone back, 3 receivers set. Moss lined up to the right. Culpepper looking for Moss. Then looks to take off. And finally throws it out of the end zone.
He had Moss open, too. Culpepper was going to run the quarterback draw. And then he saw the defense was playing it. So he tried to dump it off, and Randy Moss was open in the end zone.
Randy Moss only 4 catches today, 41 yards. Keyshawn Johnson has caught 9 for the Buccaneers, including 2 touchdowns. Culpepper over the top.
I think he certainly got the first down. I'll say this, it was a risky way to get it because he took that ball and he kind of extended the ball up over the pile. And I've seen plenty of times where quarterbacks do that. They extend that ball up in one hand and then it gets knocked out.
Six minutes remaining. 1st and goal from the 3. Off the play fake. Culpepper wanted to run, but he is taken down by Dexter Jackson coming up from his free safety spot.
Second and goal from the 6.
Nice open field tackle by Jackson. Another defensive back. Right here he is. He's a defensive back. He's up there playing the run like a linebacker. The diversity, the diverse athletic talents of this Tampa Bay defense.
Culpepper taken down again.
You knew that was
Simeon Rice.
Simeon Rice has been beating Everett Lindsay all day, beating him like a rug. I mean, he's just giving him fits. He's come outside. This time he comes inside.
Lindsay, the left tackle. Remember, they'll have McKinney, 1st-round pick at practice on Monday. Lindsay replacing the injured Lewis Kelly. 3rd and goal. Culpepper, pump fakes, throws to the end zone and a flag. Moss was tied up by Brian Kelly. Penalty flag in the end zone.
Pass interference, 25 defense.
about the interference because this play took a long time. Part of the reason there was time was the chip right there. You see Mo Williams gives Lindsey some help on the chip. And here's the penalty right there. And, you know, that's Moss pushing off on Kelly. That could have easily been offensive pass interference. That's why Kelly is hot. It was great having General Tommy Franks here for the coin toss at the beginning of this game.
Mo Williams, his second touchdown today, his 8th rushing touchdown of the season.
And this one looks easy. Kleinsasser again with that lead block. A nice block by Hunter Goodwin, the tight end. And Mo Williams goes into the end zone untouched. And when you think about it, Kenny, you look at the score here. If they make this extra point, the difference in this game, the 14 points, came off of 2 of the 3 Vikings turnovers. The fumble on the kickoff, and Dante's 1 interception at the beginning.
What is it?
2 touchdowns for Mo Williams. And Tim, as you mentioned, 14-point game. Buccaneers scored 14 off turnovers. Vikings recovered an onside kick earlier. And this one is into the arms of Ken Dilger with 4:38 remaining. Coming up, game 2 of our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. Many of you will see the Bay Area battle, the 49ers and the Raiders. Jerry Rice going up against his former club for the first time. Redskins visit Seattle, and the Rams are in Arizona. Game 2 of our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader coming up.
Jeff Garcia, Terrell Owens. Always interesting and worth the price of admission.
There's Allstock to talk about field position. This is the 5th time today, Tim, that the Buccaneers have started a drive in Vikings territory. First drive of the game after the fumble by Nick Davis on the opening kickoff. Bucs started at the Vikings 21.
Coming into this game, the Vikings wanted to try to run the ball and use the clock and field position, but the turnovers and the big plays in the passing game by Brad Johnson forced the Vikings to try to open it up a little bit more. There you see the field position that Tampa Bay has enjoyed. And, of course, now you're in your 4-minute offense where Tampa Bay just wants to run out the clock, and so it's time for Mike Allstock.
Buccaneers led 24-0 in the second quarter. Allstock has the first down as the Buccaneers move the chains with 3:40 on the clock.
Well, Kenny, when this game is said and done, they're going to talk about Brad Johnson and his incredible accuracy. 1 touchdown to Carl Williams, 1 to Dudley, another 1 to Keyshawn Johnson. That's 3. 4 here to Johnson, another perfectly thrown pass. 5 here to Mike Allstock, and Johnson has cause for celebration. Again, well, we've said it all game long, but it's still remarkable to me. You can't forget the fact that he's playing with a broken rib. I mean, it's hard to breathe when you have a broken rib. He's out there playing in the NFL. He's taking some shots, but not many. The offensive line may get themselves a game ball when this game is all said and done for the great job of protection they've done. With that Atlanta beating Baltimore, so they've got 5 wins. That makes it that much more important that Tampa Bay gets their 7th win. Tampa Bay, talking with Warren Sapp, their focus is to try to win this division because they want to play at home. And as Warren aptly pointed out, in this division, this NFC South division, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Atlanta all very well could end up in the playoffs, but only one of them will play home games, and that's the division winner.
And with the new 4-divisional setup, only 2 wild cards come out of each conference. Allstock on Henry Crockett forcing him back as we approach the 2-minute warning.
And as Warren Sapp said, you know, you could have a 12-4 record, have to go on the road to play a team whose record is only 10-6.
Buccaneers looking to match the best start in club history at 7-2 with a win today.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Budweiser, delivering beer at its best with the crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers.
Hey, who won the football pool?
Suzanne in marketing.
Again?
Yeah.
Brad Johnson has tied Steve DeBerg's club record, 5 touchdown passes, his 5th career 300-yard game. Mike Allstott, 71 total yards. Keyshawn, 2 touchdown receptions today, had 2 in his last 25 games. 3rd down and 9 for the Bucs with 2 minutes left. More penalty flags. Vikings have committed 10 in the game. Buccaneers flagged 6 times.
Offside, 79 defense. Made it to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
It's Kenny Mixon.
How about Tennessee beating Indianapolis?
Dick LeBeau's guarantee comes through. First win of the year for the Bengals. Mike Tice and the Vikings return home to host the New York Giants next Sunday, while the Buccaneers will have a bye and a chance for many of their injured players to get healthy.
60 offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
A bye next week, and then 2 more home games for the Bucs against Carolina and Green Bay. They do not leave Tampa all month. 3 home games plus the bye.
And a good game to build off of today for this offensive line. Brad Johnson was not sacked once today, and he really didn't get hit very often.
All stop. Wrapped up at the 30. As we check in once again with James Brown. JB?
Hey, Kenny, Detroit doing its best to pick up its 3rd victory of the season. Jason Hanson with his 3rd field goal of the day. That one a 43-yarder to give him a 9-7 lead. Dallas has the ball with 31 seconds left in regulation. Back to Kenny and Tim.
So the Lions looking to eclipse their win total of a season ago. Long field goal attempt here for Gramatica. A 48-yard attempt.
48-yard attempt.
Martin is 1 for 2 today. Hit from 36. Missed from 40. Tom Tupa the holder. And it's a pooch punt. Down inside the 10. Warren Sapp on special teams, getting downfield along with a couple of teammates. What doesn't he do? We saw him play tight end today. Had a tremendous game defensively. Gramatica all smiles. 49ers and Raiders, many of you will see the Bay Area battle up next. Warren Sapp chatting with Randy Moss. Under a minute to go. Today's game produced by P.T. Navarro, directed by Peter Bleckner. Our associate director, Fran Morrison, broadcast associate, Carrie Kloster. The technical producer, Kevin McRoby. Pre-game show produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The vice president of production is Jack Simmons. The senior producer, Bill Brown. Executive producers of Fox Sports, Ed Gorin and David Hill. Crunching the numbers for us today, Marty Aronoff, Ben Bowman, Mark Sosno, and Josh Weingrab. Under a minute to play as the Vikings will suffer their 15th consecutive road defeat. They have not won on the road since November of 2000, and this will be their 5th consecutive loss here in Tampa. They allowed 41 last year, 41 the year before, 38 today.
Amazing. And we also, Kenny, want to thank Jeff Murillo and Jamie McCombs, who are 2 of the stellar members of our crew who live right here in Tampa Bay.
Home game for both Jeff and Jamie. Vikings just running out the clock as they will drop to 2-6. John Gruden's Buccaneers now 7-2. He told us on Friday we deserve to be criticized, but we're 6-2. Well, they put things together offensively today, and we'll go to 7-2. Penalty flag on the final play as the Vikings drop their 15th in a row on the road.
Game is over.
Buccaneers score a season-high 38 points. Brad Johnson joining Steve DeBerg in the record books with 5 touchdown passes. Buccaneers win it by the score of 38-24. Brad Johnson, 313 yards in the air, 5 touchdowns, 2 of them going to Keyshawn Johnson. Game 2 of our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader coming up. Many of you will see the 49ers and the Raiders. For Tim Green, this is Kenny Albert. So long from Tampa.